Ethical Principles and Guidelines Related to Social Media and Healthcare Professionals by Greg Vick. Professor Dr. Teresa Goodman. It's part of a Nursing 4826 class. What is social media? Social media, which was made possible by an invention called Web 2.0, or the Internet, is made up of several Internet-based computer applications that allow its user to create and exchange content. Some examples of social media are Twitter, blogs, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. If used correctly, social media can be a very effective tool to use in cultivating professional relationships. It's also very valuable for promoting back and forth communication with patients and their families, and can be used as an effective educational tool for both consumers and healthcare professionals. If used incorrectly, social media can cost a nurse their career. It doesn't matter if the intent was malicious or not. If patient confidentiality and privacy are violated, the nurse's livelihood could be in danger, as well as facing possible criminal fines and sanctions. The following are two different scenarios used to illustrate the improper use of social media and the Internet. Scenario number one. Several nurses arrive at work, each finding a compromising picture of a familiar patient in their email, sent from an anonymous source. Not knowing who sent the picture, several nurses forwarded it to other nurses to see if they knew who sent it. In report that morning, the picture was a topic of conversation, some concerned and some humorous. By lunchtime, management was aware of the photo and began an investigation, as they were concerned about the patient's right to privacy. The local TV news station found out about the picture and it made national headlines. Police were called in to investigate possible sexual exploitation. All the nurses involved were placed on administrative leave while an investigation was done. The hospital faced possible legal action as a patient was eventually identified. Had a nurse reported the photo immediately to a supervisor, this entire sequence of events could have been circumvented. Scenario number two. A student nurse wanted to remember her favorite patient, a 3-year-old with leukemia receiving chemotherapy. She took his picture, making sure to include his room number in the background. She posted the picture on her page with the caption that he was very brave and that she was very proud to have been his nurse. One of her social media friends forwarded the picture to another nurse. This nurse, in turn, contacted her supervisor, who contacted the student's nursing school. The student was then expelled, and the nursing school was barred from clinical experience at that hospital, and the hospital faced possible HIPAA violations and sanctions. What went wrong? In each of these scenarios, the nurses involved had no malicious intent. They each thought nothing of their actions, as they failed to understand that once information is put on the Internet, that information can be, quote, disseminated to others, unquote, where it is no longer under the original author's control. The first situation violated that patient's right to privacy, which in this case involved the patient's right to be treated with dignity and respect. By violating that right, the nurses involved undermined the trust relationship between the nurse and patient, which is a necessary component of nurse-patient communication. If a patient does not trust his nurse, he may not disclose everything, and his health could potentially be jeopardized. The second situation illustrates how imperative it is for nurses to report any violation of patient privacy and/or confidentiality as soon as it is discovered. This situation also demonstrates that it is a very likely possibility that management will eventually discover the violation, and all personnel down the chain could be at risk of losing their jobs, all because they did not notify their supervisors immediately. 6 principles to remember for social networking. Nurses should not transmit or post online any individually identifiable patient information, as this would be a violation of HIPAA. It's pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, nurses should always observe the professional, ethical boundaries of the nurse-patient relationship, whether online or in person. In this case, the nurse needs to behave as if they are in the patient's presence when they're online. Number 3, nurses should always evaluate online postings with the assumption that they will be viewed by patients, colleagues, colleges, and employers, either current or potential. People, you have to act like everything is a job interview, especially with your online postings. Number 4, nurses should always take full advantage of privacy settings as well as to seek to separate their personal information from their professional information when posting. Number 5, nurses should report any content that could potentially harm a patient's privacy or patient's rights or welfare to the appropriate authorities, as this is an expected part of the nurse's role as patient advocate. And number 6, nurses should be encouraged to participate in their own organization's development of policies and procedures governing online content. And finally, I've got some additional do's and don'ts of social media that are, a lot of it's common sense, but it still needs to be stated. Okay, first one is a do. Do ensure that privacy settings do not allow open public access. Meaning, if you're setting up your page, you only want to allow your personal friends to look at your personal posts, and if it's a work page, you only want your work friends to look at that post, and you can individually adjust these settings. Okay, number 2, don't talk about patient or private patient or work information on your page. It's pretty self-explanatory. Number 3, don't post photos of yourself doing anything illegal, offensive, or inappropriate. It's another, it should be self-explanatory, shouldn't even need to be stated. Number 4, don't post photos or comments of yourself engaging in inappropriate conduct while at work. Number 5, don't add new friends to your page on days when you happen to call in sick. And that should be self-explanatory as well. Nothing like incriminating yourself when you've called in sick. Number 6, don't announce on your page that you faked a sick day. Number 7, don't criticize your employer or your patients or your clients on your page. Should be self-explanatory. Number 8, don't criticize your boss or fellow employees on your page. Should be self-explanatory. Number 9, don't make comments which would clearly identify your place of employment that could make them look in a bad light. And number 10, don't update your page about something work-related. And number 11, don't post any compromising photos of yourself or join any questionable groups online, as potential employers look at Facebook and other social media as part of a job background search. Okay, number 12, and the last one, do try to avoid using your real name if you're posting something questionable. Okay, and to conclude, social networks are a fantastic tool for today's nurses. They provide a powerful medium for the exchange of ideas and information that has not been available in previous times. And it has been said, and this is a cliche, with great power comes great responsibility. We need to be aware of that responsibility. We need to learn from the experiences of others so that we don't have to learn them ourselves. Please be aware of what you share. Thank you.